What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Hanging Out with Skip. I'm your host and friend, Skip Marazi, here doing some behind-the-scenes work for Cox in Space, which you can see here on the screen. Um, there's definitely a lot of work to be done on this sequence, and to be honest, I'm not sure how much I like this sequence, the way that it's working. It's doing its job, but there's some things. One of the things is the parallax is all jacked up because it's obviously just an image. So the shoreline is not moving separately from the foreground. It's all moving as one piece, which is not a real perspective. Um, Hi, cutie. There is a cat crawling on me. So yeah, that's another thing that we got going on. We're dealing with in this episode, and it just she works. She's moving in such a clunky way. I think I wanted her to go in front of them, and then now I'm seeing that it's probably better if she doesn't. So she's passing in front of them. I would like to see their heads move in conjunction with it, but I don't have the reverse of his shot there. So I don't know. There's some things. There's some things that need to be worked out. That focus is a little bit weird. It's kind of too sudden for where it's at. So anyway, this is a behind the scenes podcast for Cox in Space. Now, if you want to see what we're doing in general or who we are, you can go to coxinspace.com. That's coxinspace.com. So check that out. We have some great merchandise that's up there now with one of our new designs on it, drawn by Jack Haynes, our illustrator, who has done all the rest of the artwork for Cox in Space. Um, and one of the things that we're doing with these podcasts, in case you're wondering if this is your first one, is that we're trying to definitely demonstrate that this is all hand done, even if it's in some cases it's just this guy who's not an animator, who has very little training in the art of animation. The training that I do have is sort of like general knowledge without a whole lot of specifics on there as far as like training with somebody or getting accreditation anywhere. Yeah, it's just a guy, me, working on this project because it needs to be done. We have the voice, we have the music, we have the art, and the thing we need is it needs to move. And so yeah, there are a million ways to do animation, and there's a bunch of ways to do it correctly. And I'm doing it in a way that is going to work. That's that's mostly what I can say about it. But it does leave me in situations where I'm like kind of unhappy with what I'm doing, which is fair because it doesn't look as great as I want it to. I think you're going to find that no matter what artwork you do or what craft you have, there's always a couple little things in there that you're like, I wish it could be, such and such a way and whatnot. But I do appreciate you hanging out with me while we're doing this. This is really is documentation for our process to guarantee that yeah, this is absolutely not AI slap. It is 100% just an idiot, an, an idiot artist doing their idiot artwork. It don't get better than this, homies. Um, and so I'm glad you're here. One of the things that you'll know if you've been here before is that we kind of wax philosophical in the show about the process and life in general, how to approach it with more of a Zen mentality. I share my insights from being a crisis counselor for the good 5-6 years in a rehab. Oh shit! I trimmed her whiskers off on the far side. That's no good. Yeah, we're gonna need to do that. Put those back in there. Um, and then also, I've been studying improvisation, that the comedy form of improvisation, and then kind of the bigger idea of what that means as far as like a life philosophy. I started doing that in 2004, thereabouts, thereabouts, and then I've continued doing that since. So about 22 years of experience studying improvisation and how the human mind, how you use creativity and how you get results from it. If you want to check out the book that I published, you can go to wigwags.us. It's called Making the Moment. I believe that you can purchase a copy there, obviously, but I can believe you can find some free copies floating around the internet as well if you're on a budget or whatever. or just reach out. You can go to reddit.com/, our story calculators to get some of the process there, if you would rather. And there's some, different feedback and concepts in included in that. Um, but yeah, you can see, am I legit? Is this the sort of philosophy that you can understand and utilize yourself, all that sort of stuff. That has brought me to some really interesting and strange places. Strange as in unusual. I wasn't expecting them. Like I never expected to be animating Cox in Space. I mean, I didn't expect to work on Cox in Space, much less animate it. Um, so um, that is quite a thing for me to be here. But at the same time, I will tell you that studying improvisation and the understanding that everything is just made up by people, and it's them making some decisions and then seeing where they go and following them creatively down the rabbit holes that they go down. And so that's why I'm like, yeah, I mean, I don't know how to animate, but I understand some of the concepts of animation. It's just moving images, right? Um, and traditionally, it's just moving two-dimensional images. I think people get a little intimidated as we've reached the modern era, where a lot of people are doing like 3D modeling, which is cool. And no slight on it, but a little bit different from the classic way that it was done. So that's how I'm like, yeah, no fear in that, um, and mainly because people have been doing it for such a long time. They've done it in a whole bunch of different ways, and so there's got to be a way to do it. It's kind of my mentality with it. There's got to be a way that it can be accomplished. If you set your mind to it and whatnot. Um, so I will invite you, if you want to come hang out with me while I'm doing this. You can come join me on the Discord, on our Discord, the Wigwags one. That is, you go to coxinspace.com, click on the Discord link on the bottom, and that will take you to our server. And then I'm just in the general chat, and anyone is welcome to come hang out with me. I only speak English, so I might have trouble communicating if you speak any language besides that. And I am sorry about that. It's not. I don't think it's a superior language. It's just the one. It's just the one that I use. Um, and the only request I have is, hey, it's a public service. We're going to be streaming. We are streaming on YouTube, so I'm just here as just a regular dude. You know what I'm saying? So please be nice, and respectful rather. Uh, be the type of company that people want to be around. Now that's not to say we can't be controversial. We talk about a lot of things, and we have a lot of heated discussions on the different podcasts we have. If you haven't checked out Drawing with Jack, I would encourage you to. We've had a number of great guests up there. We've had a number of really interesting conversations over the last year as Jack was working on all this art. Um, and so, yeah, I would encourage you to listen to those if you need some sort of like guidance on what it is that's good and whatever. But I'm pretty open-minded. I like to hear other people's thoughts and opinions. I think that you're welcome to have any thoughts and opinions you want to, but this is not a platform for hate in any kind of way. Now, pointing out problems can sometimes feel hateful, um, but just recognize, or differences, both of those things can feel hateful. But just recognize that it's always the attitude in which it's done. Um, when people approach any subject with open-mindedness as to hear what it is, and then also they're coming from a place of like desiring to understand and not destroy, I think it's a big difference in the way that the conversations go. So there's that for you. I hope that helps clear things up if you had any questions along those lines. And yeah, if you popped on the show right now, I would probably just ask you a bunch of questions about where you're from, what you do, what you think, how you feel about things, um, and just get to know you as a person. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's one of the things that for me, um, it's why improv is so great and so beautiful. And that's because uh, we all have really interesting things that have happened to us. We all have very interesting lives and thoughts and opinions. At least I believe that everybody does. Um, and so that's why I enjoy improvising. That's why I enjoy hanging around with people, um, and hearing what they have. That transition is just way too sudden for one. So it happens here. So and don't be scared so much as I would just ask you to if you are going to come on, just know that I admire open-mindedness quite a bit. And it might be that this camera blur is just so like it's so linear. There's such a like no like distinction between one and zero. There's no like gradient here at all, you know. Um, like I wonder if I split the difference here, like if I set up a thing here and made this like a 0.5, that would stick. No, it's either one or not. So this blur might not be the thing that I want, um, and it might be actually. Let's do this. If you guys have caught some of our shows on the weekend, or my weekend, I work at a restaurant for the other times that I'm not here, and so I work mornings. So my weekend falls on Tuesday and Wednesday, which is, the least busy days of a restaurant. Um, and that's what I do. If you want it to not be the case, if you like to see me be here with you all the time, you can of course help us out by going to coxinspace.com and helping us out in that way. Um, Go to click on our Patreon link, become a subscriber to help us out every month. And with a monthly donation, you can keep the show rolling, keep the show, us in the checks, so to speak, however you say that in modern English. So yeah, that's the thing is I think that okay. Let me just do that real quick. Um, but yeah, help us out to get things, keep things here working. Let's see how that, because there's more of a gradient between these two, so that can be popping quite as much, right? Um, and we would really appreciate that for sure. For Gotcha. And this is just here. But yeah, so I work there, and so that yeah, Tuesday, Wednesdays are days for doing that. Um, and Tuesdays is my days off, and Tuesdays mornings we've been having movie reviews with Dylan Farr. We just did that yesterday. We are going to be switching up to Saturdays, Saturday afternoons. Um, so that we can hang out with a good friend of mine who you guys have probably met, Logan Gifford, who's one of the voice actors and co-writer for Cox in Space. He helps us out with the punch-ups. We actually just meeting last night and had a great time with the new episode that we've been working on. We actually finished that. It's called The Boobies, and it's about ghost bees, of course, naturally. Oh, that's so much better. Um, and then it transitions here, and we're going to change her focus too. Um, and so, yeah, we've been doing that. It's been such a fantastic journey in the Cox in Space universe, and setting all the lore up and the history and tradition. Um, yeah, it just we have quite a bit that we are working on. So join us. I think that you, if you like what you're seeing here, I think you'll like the ongoing process that we have going on. We are using a story calculator, which again, if you want to find out more about that, you can. Like I said, Reddit, our story calculators, It has some of that information. The book that I published, Making the Moment, has some of that information. And we're doing live experiments, human experiments with that process. We are doing it now currently with Cox in Space because we've written that. I'm also writing a novel right now based off of a role-playing game, based off of a previous novel that I had written using a story calculator. Actually, there's been a couple goes at that with this process. But that is coming along great. It's about spies working in the multiverse and to maintain it by any means necessary. We meet the main character, who is the assistant director of the Central Intelligence Bureau, she's on a mission to kill God. Fun times. And again, I think that all of you will enjoy it quite a bit. Finally nailed down what the story is in that process, and it's one that for me, nice. I like that transition a lot better. Um, it's one that for me, it's been a long time coming because it was based off a role playing game that we did, and that my ex wife and I did. We were married at the time, in 2013, I believe. So it's been 13 years in the making. We did a 2-year campaign in the multiverse, and them being agents in the multiverse. And it had such an interesting story arc to me. It's one of those things that, uh, sometimes there's ideas that just won't die. And the more that they won't die, the more that you're like, dang, I really need to do justice for that. Um, I think what I'm gonna do is clip out the background, the ocean, and then have that moving at a different rate of speed than the shoreline. And I think that will help make a difference because that's supposed to be further away. It's going to be a little tricky to do that, but. And then obviously the sky behind that. Although we're not getting to see the sky at all. I was thinking that we're going to have more clouds coming through, but seeing as it's like this, maybe I'll do a little bit more of a zoom out on the beach here as she crosses, because there is a little bit of inactivity here. I would like to see maybe more of the sky and whatnot as she walks down that way. So now I did mention, right, like I mentioned here, I really don't like this animation, what it looks like right now. I really don't. It's not. It doesn't have what I was hoping for in a lot of ways. So, since that's the case, no big deal. But, I want it to be better. So, I think that is a fair thing to ask of any artist. I think, yeah, I think that's a fair thing to ask. Let's do this. We're going to move it down just a little bit more. Of ourselves, to improve ourselves on a regular basis. I think that's a fair thing to ask. And then I think it's a thing that it's necessary to continue to make good art. You have to admit when something isn't quite working, and you want it to work, right? That's gross right there. So, um, it's not a big deal to do things wrong or to dislike your own work. Um, there is a point where it's not useful, like if you're just hating on yourself to hate on yourself, or you're doing that in such a way um, that it's becoming destructive to either your work or to yourself. Um, Stop, show yourself some grace. It's just a work in progress. It's not the end of the world. Um, I think I want her to fade out at that point right there. That's 15 seconds. Um, and that's fine. It's fine to not like what you've done. And in fact, that's wholly a part of the process, in my opinion. Is identifying what things work and what things do not work, and then figuring out how much you can live with it not working, and how much needs to change so you can get it to be exactly what you want it to be. Um, and because that's fair, that's only fair to you as the creator, and it's only fair to your audience as the person who's receiving it. And so, um, yeah, uh, I think it's healthy. Some people get very upset when I analyze and critique their work or them as people or their methods. Um, I run into this a lot in like work environments, and then also I still don't like the zoom level here. I want it to be more because there's all this, but it's not. You know what I mean? Um, no, but it really is at the top, isn't it? No, it's not. It's not. Okay, I need to move all of this down a little bit. And you know that's it's fine. I mean, I understand. There's a lot of ego that's attached when when you're trying to create something, and I know that it's hard. I know that So to critique something is not to negate its difficulty, um, but also, why is it like because the position here needs to be also, um, or the effort that you put into it, because neither one of those is the thing that I'm critiquing. It's the end result. What does it look like from an audience point of view? And me being the audience most times. Um, and so, or as, a person who is around you as a person, um, and that can be hard. You can be doing your best and still fail, Um, there's a I don't find that difficult to rationalize. There's a fantastic Star Trek Next Generation episode about it. It involves my favorite character, Data, who which I don't think that's any surprise to anybody who knows me. That that he's trying to play this game in such a way, but he keeps being beaten even though he's an android, uh, and he says I don't know understand I played everything right, and Picard reminds him, he's like, I think he's Picard, he's like, there are situations that exist where you can do everything right and you can still lose, and so that to me, I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, of course, that's the case. I think I want her to be a little bit not so big and further up, which is some of the bit here. And so, Data doesn't lose his shit. Sorry, I probably got demonetized right there. Did I mention that you should go to our Patreon and help support us? And because I'm a dumbass who can't watch his mouth. Is what it is. And as I start running on things, sometimes I just forget. Is all. I just forget to do stuff like that. Um, but yeah. So okay, it looks like we are live. So thanks for tuning in. Thank you for supporting us. But like that's the thing for me. Like the thing that kills art more than anything else is people's ego in it. And I understand you've got to apply yourself to your art in order to make it work. Um, you know what I mean? You have to use your own voice and your own expression and your own ideas. You have to in order for yeah, I do like that better, and I kind of like the way that she's framed too. But you can't be so attached to the end result that it defines you. It's very similar, from what I understand, to having kids and raising kids. Is that yeah, they're a product of you. They came from nowhere else except for your egg, your seeds, and your bodies, but at the same time they're their own unique individuals, and they should be respected for their autonomy, and for the unique features, And while there's correction that needs to be done so that they become the best humans that they can, they're going to be who they are at the end of the day. So I think I want to do a slower fade, actually. I think I don't want that to be until right about here. Um, Dang, that is at 16, isn't it? Um, let's bump this back a little bit. Let's say something like that. Maybe that'll help out. Um, so what am I even lecturing about? I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be any kind of way like I know what's going on, but I'm just sharing my experiences with you. I hope that's okay. Some people have told me that they think that I sound like I know everything, and I can tell you that I know what I know. Assuredly, I know what I know, and I've come to the conclusions that I have based off of the evidence that I have. Um, and some of that evidence is flawed, and so I do listen with caution when other people speak and when they tell me what's going on with them, because I know that maybe I've gotten some things wrong, and that will help me clear that up so I don't have to keep using bad information. But at the same time, I have seen what I've seen, and it has colored my opinion, and so that's going to be it's going to be what it is. Um, and it's true with anybody, right? And that's why, I'm like, yeah, that's absolutely. I understand that you're only going to approach me with what you've seen and you've experienced and what you feel like you know, and then I would encourage you to take that next step, because this is the one of actual emotional maturity. Is assume that you may be correct, although new evidence might change that. And to me, that's really what the scientific method, the growing and processing and discovering is all about. That's what takes the fear out of most things for me. Is that yeah, I'm gonna give you my absolute best. I'm gonna try to see the world clearly and take definitive moves based off of what I know. But there's always the caution that we don't necessarily know yet everything that we need to. And it's just a given. And to me, that's just a given. Uh, because no one person, no matter how smart they are, can know everything. It's just that's not a possibility. We're very limited in our brain capacity. We're very limited in our experiences. And the universe that we exist in is infinite. As you go up and as you go down, there's just more and more levels to it. To say that um, that somebody understands fully everything, or somebody believes that. I'm just like, yeah, probably they probably don't, you know. Um, so I don't want the blurriness to start there. And no, no shade, of course, on the people who know stuff. But I will almost guarantee that people who do know stuff, um, especially if they're wise, they'll tell you for sure that yeah, they know some stuff, but they only know what they can know, and they don't know much beyond that. And again, I think that that is the greatest way to be. So let's extend that here. Just gonna bump that back a little bit, and then we're gonna move this point here. Okay, now this walking sequence, I mean, it is very painful. The camera movement and the focus is helping a little bit, but everybody is obviously stagnant on that page. It is reminding me a lot of kind of like, I don't know if you guys, sorry, millennials, you elder millennials, I don't know if y'all remember reading Rainbow, but they used to do like camera pans on the illustrations of the book to make it more interesting television, which is cool. And so this is really having like quite that effect for me. Um, Okay, I do want to get the parallax, which is obviously the line that the depth of field in that the way that the camera moves, and because of how far something away is the what dictates how much it drifts. So I do need to go into Photopea, which I'm using. Shout out to Photopea for being such a great tool. Free tool actually if you want it, if you want the advertising, if you want the ads that come up with it, and then it's like really inexpensive of a tool. I think that like I pay like a $25 subscription for Premiere monthly, which I wish there was. They just sold you products now and there wasn't subscriptions, because it's just, you don't own Premiere. If you don't pay for it, it closes out and you can't use it anymore. Like, what a freaking drag. And what, just late stage capitalism is everything seems like it's a scam. Um, Even if it's a good service that works, like, why would you take away my ability to even work on my own projects? If I haven't paid you for it, like, what have I been paying you for? The freedom of access to your software. I mean, just it just somebody said, I think it was probably Twitter, but it seems like corporations get very mad when you block access to your own money, or you block their access to your money. And that's how it feels, is like everybody is trying to get their bit and no one's really trying to take care of the people that they're supposed to be providing the service for. Anyway, so Photopea, it's a yearly subscription. You can still use it if you don't pay it. Um, and so, and I think it's an independent developer too, and I really do appreciate people just doing the work. So that is neither here nor there. Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things is what that I'm seeing, is that it's really that far shoreline in the sky not behaving the way that it is making it feel so bad, and like reading Rainbow animation. Um, Now, I say to you, I'm a person who doesn't know things, and that's true. Like, I haven't studied how to do this. I haven't gone to school to learn how to do it. But I mentioned in a previous episode that I was homeschooled, and really, I'm thankful for that I was homeschooled, uh, because I think that a lot of my creativity and oddness would have been crushed out of me, because that's the purpose of public education. Unfortunately, is to get people trained up for factories, and not to be individuals, because an individual is detrimental to a company, oftentimes. Um, and so I'm glad they did that. And then also my mom, who was she was a licensed as an teacher in the state that we grew up in, Arizona, and she is licensed now also where she lives. But Yeah, the she taught us to teach ourselves. And that's one thing she teaches now too, is that you're never going to know everything, and so what you need to find out quickly is what you need to know, and how to get something to work. And so she was very much hands-on in getting us to educate ourselves. Um, and that, I mean, that came in some hard ways for sure, because um, we were just reading our own textbooks and then writing papers based off of what we were reading, and that sort of thing. So um, it was really the difficult work. But she didn't give up on us, right? Like, she made us do that, so that we would be capable of finding information, using information, and then finding answers that satisfy the questions that we had. Um, so yeah, I mean, I don't know if that was just from knowing her, my mom, or being like under her tutelage for those formative years. Um, I think this is where I wanted to say the line. I don't remember these pussies being quite so fat, and then having Richard's head turn as we go here. Um, So yeah, that's why I'm like I don't know about animation. I don't know how to animate, but I have noticed a bunch of things. Like I've always been interested in it. And so I've watched, behind the scenes making of, I've watched, tutorial videos or whatever, of people talking about their process. And so, you know, um, it turns out I know a little bit more than I thought I did. And then when you get down to it, it's like, well, it has to physically be done somehow, right? Somebody has done the work somehow in some way before. Um, and so you just begin to think about the pieces and what little pieces you need. And I think this is true of anything. Like if you wanted to start making jewelry, for instance, which I think is always really cool, you could just start looking at jewelry and then asking the questions, how are these things formed and how do these pieces go together? And then you could begin doing it without any formal training. It would be, obviously, it's going to be a time sink. It's going to be a labor, like what is it, materials. You're probably going to mess up a bunch of materials as you're learning. But, as long as you understand that and accept that it's part of the process, I mean, it's not a big deal. Um, like this, here I am. It's a time sink. I'm trying to figure out how all these pieces are going to go together. I don't have the ability to ask somebody what the next step is or how are we going to be doing this. So hopefully I saved everything in there. He has a different model, I know, so I might have to mask that in. Um, but to me, that's not a thing that I'm worried about. That's not a thing that can like bothers me to have to work through the process. That's when I was like, hey, I'm gonna do the Cox and Space animation. I resigned myself to like, all right, no matter what happens, I'm gonna figure it out. We're gonna take what I do know and what I can know, and begin to apply that on how things work together. Um, Part of there are some early episodes I think that flicking with Skip, I think, or flicking with Franklin is called. There we ran into some issues with some of the animators who had come aboard, and not major things, but the idea that it seemed that uh, just because I didn't know everything about animation, it seemed like they felt like I didn't know anything about animation, which it's a silly thing to assume. Um, just because someone isn't completely proficient in an idea doesn't mean that they don't have a lot of extra experience. And one of the extra experience I have is I've worked on a lot of movie sets. I wouldn't say a lot. Let me not be that bold. But I've worked on movie sets, and been in as part of the behind the scenes production of that. So storyboarding, pre-planning, costume sets, that sort of thing. When I started to approach this as animation, I was like, oh, this is the same process as physically being on set. It's just now you're using digital actors, and that sort of thing. And so that helped inform this process as much as anything else, just the different experience that you have. Um, when when I'm started to work on this, it's like the same with like it's an improv skill, right? Like you start with an initiation and you see what happens next. Um, to layman, an initiation is just exactly as it sounds. An initiation is just a starting point, right? And so when you start a process, you just listen to where you started. And that's, and same with the basis of a conversation or a relationship. You just listen to what's happening right now. And the more that you just listen to what happens right now and what you're doing, the more you can truly see what it is that you want to do, where it's going, what works and isn't working, and all that fun stuff. So I wasn't, like I was like resigned to dealing with the process and being a part of the process, even though I didn't know what that was going to entail. Uh, and I think for a lot of people that's very scary. I think that's one of the great things about having studied improv and really practicing it, um, is that it changes the way that you view things. Um, Improv, I say a lot, is that you have to run full speed backwards in an improv scene. You look where you've come from because you don't have anything else. Looking forward doesn't do anything for you in an improv scene. You have to look where you've come from and then run full speed ahead as if that conclusion that the reverse the results of the what you're seeing in the rear view mirror or whatever is gonna dictate where the future is gonna lead. Um, and the more that you do that, the more you're just listening and paying attention to what has happened and what has existed, the easier time you have going forward because you just keep associating the things in the forward with what came previous. You never lose, drop, or change anything because you can't do that with the past. Instead, you just keep adding to the present as it makes the future. So yeah, it's a tricky process. That's a tricky thing to do because humans we're almost always in this forward-looking state. Or there's very few people that are in a backwards-looking state, but that can be the case too. But I think that most people are very few people are in the this is what's happening now state, and that was what causes a lot of our trouble, right? Our depression comes from the past that we cannot change. Our anxiety comes from the future that we cannot control, and in that we have to exist right in that small middle ground. So, yeah, the creation of art is terrifying. It is 100% terrifying. I wouldn't necessarily, I wouldn't encourage anybody to go into it half-heartedly. Don't think this is silly. This seems like a silly thing to say, but don't think that just because you sit down to write, you're going to be a writer. Just because you sit down to play the guitar, you're going to be a guitar player. I just mentioned two things that I like to do besides these things. And and I think that's just to be fair to you, right? Just to be fair to yourself, is that just because you've started playing the guitar doesn't make you a guitar player. What makes you a guitar player is as you continue to play the guitar, as it becomes part of who you are, because you're more instinctually responding than you are striving to be something. Very fine hair of distinction. I hope that doesn't mess you up too much as you begin your own process or as you continue your own process. Where because that thought can creep in. Well, I'm not a guitar player. I'm not an animator. I'm not whatever it is that art form craft that you picked up. But what I want you to consider is to throw the word "yet" in there. I'm not one of those. I'm not a trumpet player. I'm not a woodworker. Those are some of my dad's crafts and hobbies. Yet, I'm not there yet. And I think that yet is the reprieve, right? It gives the ability to look at it and be like, look at all the ways that I failed, that I continue to fail, and then go, okay, since I'm not there yet, what steps do I need to take so that I can be there? I didn't know that I was going to be working in the production end of a lot of the productions that I've worked on. And so I've had to do this thing where I'm like, well, I'm not a director of photography yet. But if I was, if I wanted to be, what steps would I take to do that? Well, I would storyboard a script. I would make sure that I have all the shots listed to make sure that when I'm on set and it's chaotic, that we get all the shots that we want to get. I would make sure that I would go through the script and make sure I get all the props. I talk about all the costumes, that we talk about all the people who need to be at the places that they are at the specific times they need to be at, so we can film it. So make sure that we have blocking talked about. And then it's a learning process. So there's sometimes I was working on the thing I'm referencing right now specifically is I was working on the Detective Brooks shorts for Brooks Bikes in the North Shore of Louisiana. That was a project that I did a couple of years ago. I don't think it was last year. I think I was finished with it by last year. No, but I think maybe we finished up in the last year because I think it was February of last year that we shot the Chicago episodes. Actually, I think it is. Wow, that's crazy how time is really changed. Only I changed locations, and I'm not at that job anymore. I don't hang out with those people. I'm now in not in Louisiana. I'm in Tennessee instead, in Knoxville. And so that's crazy. But I didn't realize when I was asked to write that show that I'd be doing the cinematography also, and the editing, and the scheduling, and being the director of that show. So it was a learning process. Things I missed in the early episodes, I was able to get done in the later episodes. The process that we did there, they really began to. It was informed by what I'd done on previously, 10 years previously, or more. And when I worked on the LA Knights project, which I came on just as an actor and writer, and then ended up doing so much more in that production, as it goes with independent productions. And so, what a great place to learn all the things that I didn't know, and continue to practice them. This has got to be in there somewhere. So yeah, we're looks like about halfway through the show already. Thank you for sticking with me up to this point, and checking out where this is going. Listening to the extraneous thoughts that pour out as we work on the show. And yeah, just I'm really hoping to, as much as this is just to prove that we're doing this by hand. That also the text is, the what we're talking about is encouraging to you as an artist. Like and comment below if you agree, disagree. That is absolutely fine. Again, comments made respectfully with the thought process of exploring, teaching, understanding, without the talking down, or whatever is necessary. Know that it's okay to make mistakes, and know that even if you know something, you probably don't know everything. Probably, again, given the fact that there's a limited amount of content you can hold in your brain at one time. There's only so much you could possibly learn. And those are really the only types of people that I just don't have time for. People who know everything, they have no reason to listen to anybody else. They run into a problem on a consistent basis, which is that almost immediately, once you've decided that you know everything, you're going to come across something that you didn't know, and that you realize very quickly that it's not possible to know. And if you're the person who's of the opinion that you do in fact know quite a bit, and you know enough to be considered an expert or whatever, that you're going to quickly find that it's a lie, and you'll be overwhelmed by the truth that you've been trying to deny, which is that there's a lot of things that are unknowable, that the universe, regardless of how much we grab it and try to control it and get our fingers really in being right about stuff, because it's the reason that people do that is because the universe is overwhelmingly big, and it's just so hard to fathom everything that occurs, and that's terrifying. It's just a huge abyss that we cling on to the edge of. And I think it was done that way on purpose. I think that the universe is not simple for the reason of humbling us, instead of the word I was going to use, which is humiliate us. Because I don't believe that that's the purpose of reality, is because we're not that important, that the universe would be designed in such a way just to bring us pain, or whatever. It just, if things are painful, it's because we're out of sorts with the force of reality, the source of truth. It's what we can see, hear, feel, in the physical sense. That's what's true. And so it's only people who fight physics that lose against physics, and that's true for social and mental physics as well as physical ones. So, what are you going to do? But I think that the closer that you are to touching reality, the less unhappy you are about it. The Zen idea is that expectations is what brings the Oh shoot, I should have done this a different way. That's all right. Uh, it's the attachment. Sorry, and that's a form of expectation. But like the attachment to things is what brings suffering. Um, when when we uh, when we need things to be a certain way, or we claim that something is ours, when everything in this experience we have is temporary, and passing very quickly by us, is when we get this unhappiness. Um, for me, actually, in long-term effects, I can share, I guess. One of those things is that I've run into a lot of unhappiness, in that I really love my friends very much, and I love being a part of their worlds and communities and being important to them, being one that people can count on, one that people can look up to, one that people, when everything is going crazy, that they look at me and be like, hey, can you give us a hand? Because they know that I'll be there for them. I really enjoy being the type of person that my friends can count on. And so recently, I keep running into this thing where even no matter how dependable I am to my friends and for my friends, um, recently it's like it doesn't matter, because a belief is what's happened frequently, in that I will be ostracized from their community because they believe that I believe something, or they believe something about me that is likely not true, or something of that nature. And so it's so it's been so disheartening for me, to to um, to be, I don't know, in that, uh, with people, and because it happened in the improv community among the friends that I was in. They in Chicago, I believe that they believed that I was very strange, and that I was doing that on purpose, as opposed to, I just happen to be very strange. I'm not trying to be off-putting or whatever, or novel or whatever. In that, I just autism or whatever it is that is goes on with me, just makes me different. My upbringing makes me different. I have a different perspective on the world. Things that get you bent out of shape generally don't get me bent out of shape, because I just don't feel like they matter all that much. And that really has upset people in the past, is that I'm just like, well, the things that you're concerned about, this steadiness that you need and crave, I'm like, you'd be a lot happier if you would recognize that that's a lie, like that's just a thing that you're making up, and it's, in no way an actual requirement, for life. Or another thing that happens often is, I do things unintentionally. I mean, if you've ever been around me and you think I'm doing this on purpose, or that I'm bragging about this now, it's unintentional. It completely is. Where I just see little things that aren't quite right, or out of place, that, with just a little adjustment, they could be in place, and they could be, not out of sorts. And it's not that I'm looking for those things, but they just, as my brain's taking a lot of like patterns and just recognizing patterns, it goes, oh, that's a thing that doesn't have to be that way. In fact, it seems like it's messing people up for it to be that way. Let's fix it, adjust it, or change it. Um, you know, and that really messes with the status quo. And I don't mean to do that at all. In fact, if I could stop doing it, I would, because I don't like to be out of sorts, with the people around me. I like to, as much as possible, get along with everybody. Obviously to the point where, um, like, anything to the point where, but like up to the point of like them spreading hate, because it's not ever going to be useful to anybody. Um, but that's the case. Like if someone's continually spreading hate, is when I'm like, yeah, you're not really the good person like you thought you were, are you? And that's going to upset them, of course. I mean, of course it would. because nobody likes to be called out when they're just casually hanging out with somebody, or or whatever, right? Um, so and that's just I'm like, but you seem so unhappy by this thing that you're doing, and you don't have to. Did you know that you don't have to? Uh, and people can get very offended, very offended by that. Um, it's again, it's not something I intend to do, and wish that I could um, notice when it was useful and when it was not. Although in my experience, it's almost impossible to tell when it's useful and when it's not. Because I'll do the same thing. It's the reason that people put me in leadership positions. It happens all the time. It happens so much so that I try to avoid it if possible, but it just keeps happening because people see that, like, oh, this guy here is looking for the the solutions, is always paying attention, is always trying to improve the world around them. And so that's the type of person that we can trust. That's the type of person that we can rely on. That's the one who is gonna look to see if they're making any mistakes, look to adjust and fix them before it's passed on, and then if they're found later, we'll then fix them again and make the effort to fix them again. Because that's who I enjoy being. That's the type of person that that's what I admire in myself. That's what I admire in the world around me, is when people strive to be their best, and then when they fail, they strive to be their best again. And I think it's only a fair way. It's the only fair way to really exist among other people, with other people, is to constantly be trying to give your absolute best and to fix anything that is broken. So like this, I missed this little piece of sky. I need to go get that, and I will. Um, anyway, wow, what was that all about? Oh, yeah, so that was just to say, it's happened once again. I've lost people that I thought were my friends over it. And I don't mean lose, I just, there's an estrangement um, between the two of us. And, that's really gotten me down, to be real honest, is that it's just really gotten me down because it happened again. I just got to a new place. And I thought that, I was among people. No, where? No, is it on this one? Dang it! And it was among people that I didn't really expect that from. I thought that they were oddballs like me, and that because of that, um, being odd wouldn't be an issue for them. But um, I'm just that odd, I guess. And I don't really think I don't think that's anything to brag about. Me personally, it's caused me more pain than joy, for that to be the case. So sucks, but what are you gonna do, right? Um, except for, again, do your best, keep doing your best, and where things have gone, uh, off the rails. Very cool. Then then do your best to fix that too, So okay. So here on the beach. Okay. We're gonna want to do something like, okay, but what I do need to do. Oh, excuse me. It's the middle of the day. I've had coffee. I'm eating some food. So neither one of those things should be really affecting me right now. But what I do need to do is this. Um, I was up watching some of the new Rick and Morty to segue into a different topic altogether. Um, I think season 7, so maybe not the new one, maybe it's the old one. I think there's another season that I'm behind. And I was just struck about, like, how, I don't know, how Simpsons it's become. Um, there was season 1, in my opinion, is super rough. But season 2, season 3, I think they really hit their stride as far as being, like, off the rails and also, um, like they have characters that you'd be like, oh, cool, yeah, I know who these guys are. And so as they consistently do it, they had a couple nice story arcs in there, um, and I don't know, it feels like. It felt like the show felt used to feel like that it could at any moment go any place, and now it feels like they're playing it super safe, and so I was watching it. It was enjoyable. You know, that's all I can say about it. I wish that oops, I wish that it was more more raucous, has a more of a raucous feeling to it, like it used to. And maybe that's me not being in that mindset anymore. You know what I mean? Like maybe I desired chaos so much more then. Um, I don't know, or like you know what I mean. And I understand that the fan base was a little bit they were being like too edgy or whatever, and so like what they weren't a great fan base. Yeah, I'm looking at you, stomp on the counter demanding Szechuan sauce. Um, people, I mean that you made people you made a show look bad. Uh, like you introduced, you told people that's who the fans were, and I mean it was right. So that's not the lie. I guess it's good that people saw it, but then at the same time, it's not very inviting, right? Um, and now it seems like they are trying to you know, cater to a more mainstream type of audience, more like less neckbeards, less edgelords. Um, to use early 2000s slang, I don't know what you call them these days. Um, but so and maybe that's it is what it is. It is what it is. I watched it because I was like, I know these characters. I'm sure they're gonna be, who they are, and they were. So I can appreciate that. Um, I know that Justin Roiland was an agent of chaos, in part because of his alcohol abuse, and in part probably because of who he is a little bit. Um, I think that's not knowing him. I don't know, but the stories that are shared about him, um, that's the feeling that I got from him. But when he subtracted himself from the show by being the type of person that you can't support, um, because of their own choices and their own behavior, which is what happens, and that's fair. That's a fair thing to do on the part of any business, to be like, yeah, you might be a great artist, but when your life is a mess, you're really hard to work with. But that what he brought to the show, that like chaotic element, really was the heart of Rick and Morty, in my opinion, in those seasons, especially like once they got season one down and kind of what they were doing, that way. I think that Justin's contribution really did, and because I feel like and I don't know if I would say the same thing if I didn't know he was taken off the show. You know what I mean? Maybe it's definitely colored by, I'm like, well, the main creator isn't on there anymore, so of course it's going to be different. But it does. I think that most fans would agree. Like the show feels different than it used to. So agree, disagree if you want to below. That's just my 2 cents on season 7 of Rick and Morty. I didn't watch all of it. I kind of like put it on to fall asleep to, because when I am single, that is mainly the way that I fall asleep, is to have the sound of chatter in the background, as a comfort. I was raised in a household with 6 kids, um, so there was always a lot of noise, and so having a lot of noise around, or like just that constant like sound, is pretty normal for me. My dad, his family has 8 kids, and so holidays were always like that too. And so having the large family around and having that hubbub of people coming and going is pretty comforting. And so like the chatter of a TV or whatever in another room far away. Although my parents didn't watch all that much TV, it wasn't on all that much growing up. Um, because I think both my parents would be like, yeah, because it's just a lot of nonsense. There's not a reason to respect the people on the television more than the people who exist in your real life. Uh, because we don't know those people and their opinions are what they are. They're informed by their own experiences and things like that. Um, yeah, that's the case. That's happening. And so it is what it is with that. Nope. Um, anyway, so that's why I put it on. I've actually also been watching, doing the same thing with Dead Like Me, that show from the early 2000s, with Mandy Patinkin. And he's like the cornerstone character of that cast, so he's probably the one I'm going to call out. They have other great support players, but I've never seen them do much else. I recognize them on the show, and I'm like, okay, cool. And for the most part, I think they're doing a really great job for the seasons that exist. I like the idea. It's kind of like it has good place kind of vibes to it, like how do you deal with life as you deal with death, which I think that's a really cool message. Um, I think it was important. The show is geared towards seems like the young millennials, but I feel like Zoomers, or the Generation Z. If y'all hate Zoomers, just comment below that you hate Zoomers. That's what people have been calling y'all as you came up, and so I don't know if if that's a term that y'all appreciate at all or dislike. But yeah, no, I think that because it's the same. Like, there's the main character. I believe that she got caught. She gets killed and turned into a Reaper. One who collects the souls of the dead. Um, because she wasn't finished. She never really experienced what she was supposed to do in life. Um, she didn't live a full life because she was so like over everything. And that's where the show's title comes from, Dead Like Me. It's talking about like just this ennui of existence, where it can be so easy to be burned out on on God, I don't like this at all. Just the life in general, the consumerism, the rat race, the trying to get ahead, trying to make friends, trying to get your bills paid, just all of that before and I'm sure now even y'all are the generations that have come afterwards. We have the Gen Z, who came after. They're grown and in the marketplace now, or in the workplace rather. The marketplace, goddamn, it's more like what it is, right? We're just like meat for sale, to the highest bidder, which they're all bidding so low right now. Like it just sucks. And then, well, you have Generation Alpha that's coming after that, which I mean, though a lot of the elder Generation Alpha is just about ready to graduate high school, or has joined the workforce already. So that, yeah, like, and just the feeling of hopelessness in that. I'm sorry, you know, um, the millennials haven't had enough time to really begin to make that change that I know that we hope to for you guys coming up. Um, the boomers are really have really gotten a chokehold on society, and especially the ones that the ones that believe that the individual is the highest form, the highest goal is to be the most individual that you can, the whole cowboy thing. Um, and so like it's just so sad that they're the ones who are they're controlling the market. They get to make the decisions right now, and they're making really really bad decisions for humanity for one, but like just the following generations afterwards. I mean, just the billionaires that are creating massive amounts of debt, that they're never gonna try to pay back. You know what I mean? Um, so for one, and so they're just destroying the new economy. They're destroying the economy and the planet, for just their own, being able to pat themselves on the back and say that they won the game somehow. Um, and so, I mean, Greta Thunberg is right. Like, this is not an ecological war. It's not an ideological war. It's a class war. It's that, there's a few people who've wanted to win capitalism so bad they've rigged the game, so that they could. Um, and that's that issue needs to be cleared up. And I know that it seems right now, that it is an impossible task and that it's always going to stay that way. Especially if you are, of this young generation that hasn't seen it any other way. I mean, if you came up through COVID, and you saw that everything is real expensive and that we're almost always at war, and that there's no hope for anybody. Like, just know that, like, we're the generation, and I say we, the millennials and elder millennials especially, we're the generation who saw that life was good and could be good. And so, we're the ones who are supposed to be the reminders for that time, that we as a country, we have to deal with this class war. We have to pull, the people who are, wrecking the game for everybody with their greed and selfishness, into, we have to wrangle them, because people don't like to be wrangled, especially people who think that they have and should have all the power. And so, I only say that to say, hey, don't give up yet. Don't give up on your dreams yet. Be a force of good in the world, even if it seems like there isn't one. And I mean, really, especially if it doesn't seem like there is one. Because if there isn't one, you need to be the thing. You need to be the hope. It does. If you're standing in a situation and you say it really needs this thing, and nobody's doing it, that's because you're being informed by the universe that you're the one who's required to do that thing. You're the one who's required to do the work to make it work. And I know that sucks, doesn't it? Like, if you begin to see all the problems and you're like, oh Jesus, somebody please do that. And then I say to you, yeah, that somebody is you. You see the messy floor, you need to sweep it up. And you say, but I didn't create the problem. And I will say to you, I know, we didn't create this problem. None of us did. None of us individually did. We kind of created this problem together, and that's the only way we're going to get out of it, is by us, getting together, and the person who sees the floor is dirty sweeps the floor. And just, I know the desire is, to get credit for it, to be, thanked, admired, exalted for that. But cleaning up a mess that you didn't make is a thankless job. And so we have to really approach it with that, we strive to do our best, in circumstances that aren't ideal. And we strive to give our best to people who don't deserve it. And that's the plight of if someone who if you want to see things get better, that's the requirement. And so, I'm sorry to be the one to have to tell you that, and I'm sorry to be the one, who who's going to give you that bad news, that you can't just complain about it. You actually have to do something about it. But I guess, in my opinion, it's better to hear that, than to think that you're helpless, because that's the only thing that leads to it. When we're looking for a superhero to save us, we're looking for someone who's greater than ourselves to save us. We're never ever gonna find it. Never. There are people who have more skills, but they're required to do things that require their skills, just like you do. And they often don't see the circumstance in the way that you see the circumstance. And that's what I say to you is like, hey, um, be a part of the change, because you're the one who's seeing the thing that needs to be done. Um, so please help everybody else out just by contributing what you can. And so that's that's what I would encourage everybody to do. Uh, it's the people who are worn out and tired, to just know that you don't plant a tree that you plan to sit under. You plant a tree because there's generations of people coming after you, and you want them to have something to sit under. Just because we've deforested the place now doesn't mean it needs to stay that way. We probably won't get to enjoy it. Um, I mean, the elder millennials, we did get to we get to experience the prosperity that we didn't earn as we came up, and we get to experience that, and so be thankful for that. And the generation Gen Z and Gen A, Generation Alpha coming up. Um, yeah, I know you might not get to experience that. Hopefully, Gen Alpha will get to see the results of the work, but Gen Z, you might be the middle child stuck in that. But I believe that you will get to see the beginnings of that change, and you'll get to see the children that got to grow up in those worlds and those environments that are better than the place that you were. Um, Hard times make hard people. Difficult times make hard people. But they're the ones that get stuff done. And I think that we really did have it super easy in a lot of ways. When things were prosperous, when after the world wars, after we had that baby boom, and that made things real easy for a lot of people. And so I think that it was that we had the tendency to get selfish and only think about what our own self, and how I, the individual, can succeed above everybody else. And now it's just the time where we see the repercussions of that, right? Like when we were just focused on just ourselves, how that led to the destruction of the planet and society, and the economy, and now what we're seeing is that we have to band together. We have to form a community. We have to take care of one another, and we have to think about how our actions not only affect us, but affect everyone around us, the world around us. Um, and in order to not kill ourselves. And I mean that on the personal level, and I mean that on the geological level, the big scale, of interacting with society at large, because the fighting off everybody for the resources that we have is literally only going to lead to our own destruction. That's I think that it's clear when you look at the way things are going, and I think that's clear from if you logically follow the train of thought, if every individual is only thinking about themselves, what that will do to us. And then we see the evidence all around us, I believe, um, of that. So that wasn't supposed to be a soapbox. It really was supposed to be just encouragement about, again, from improv, what I know about that. I know that a joke is so much funnier when it's shared between people. That a scene gets so much richer when I have a perspective and I pursue it strongly, and someone else has a perspective and they pursue it strongly, and those two have to deal with each other. So I'm really speaking from the measuring of social dynamics, and what I've seen from that, and then just encouraging people to recognize that too. Like, hey, uh, we can continue to fight each other, or we can work to find a solution together. So hopefully that's an encouragement to you, and that it didn't seem like I'm like, hey, I've got it all together and these are the solutions, because I don't. I'm really just pushing and hoping to push us all closer to what I think that we want as humans. I mean, nobody wants the human race to be extinct. I don't think anybody wants that. I don't think we want to see our loved ones, our future loved ones, the kids that we might have, or our grandmas and grandpas, or our nieces and nephews. I don't think we want to see any of them face extinction. I think that all of us want to see what cool video games we're coming out with in the next decade, and we want to see what it's like when we get off this planet and reach into outer space, and the different worlds that we're going to see out there, and the different challenges that we're going to face. I think all of us want to see what that new technology will bring and how that's going to change us as a people. I think all of us want that. Because that's very human. Is how do we continue to make our lives easier for ourselves and for our children? How do we continue to mature as a human race, and really come to understand what is the experience that we're having? I mean, because it's not straightforward, that's for sure. It is not. It's it's a mystery of how compressed light, what we are, that has cooled into matter, uh, has become aware of itself and is able to build societies and create structures, and how that exists. That's a fantastic mystery, that we've been trying to solve since we first became aware. And we're never going to get there if we're constantly at odds with ourselves. If we're fighting the very thing that we are, which is the human race. Again, if you want to pretend that you're just one individual and that's the only thing that matters, you can, but you're forgetting about the fact that you're part of a lineage, you're part of a culture, you're part of a society, and so to miss that is to miss, like, the reality of the situation. Is no person's an island, and no one ever has been. It's always been like the reason that you existed from your infancy is somebody took care of you. The reason that you didn't die in the streets is because as a kid, somebody looked after you. The reason that you can exist in a society at all is because we've decided what is good, what is helpful for us, and we've done it. We've done it at odds with each other, for sure. We definitely have different opinions about how things should be. I think and that's one of the reasons there's a bunch of different groups and thoughts on it. But by and large, humans have gotten better at protecting our own, from the troubles, nature and societal. We've gotten better at how the fighting off microbes that can kill us and understanding why they're doing that. We have a deeper understanding of ourselves spiritually, as far as like who we are and what our place in the universe is. And so many things have been proved, historically, and we just keep doing that. And so the encouragement is, hey, why don't we continue to do that, and recognize that, hey, we're definitely a part of a much bigger organism besides the infinite, or the grand organism that human beings are in themselves. And so, yeah, just as you're working on your art today, and working with people, they might be frustrating. You might not see eye to eye with them, but like, the just recognize the humanity, that there is a greater goal beyond getting home and getting some food. There is a bigger goal in just just surviving. And I know it feels so hard and so impossible right now, right? Just such a difficult task with the wars and threats of wars, and just absolute tiredness of getting ground down at a job. I can speak a little bit more positively because today I got to take a break from menial tasks, and I got to get out and take a 2 hour walk in the woods, and so I'm feeling more optimistic because I was reminded about what nature looks like, and how humans are just one small part of that, um, and not the whole of it. Um, and so, yeah, that's what I'd encourage you, to step away from the internet from time to time, and to see actually what the world looks like, so that you can have that perspective too. Um, so yeah, I'm wrapping the show up here. It looks like we got some stuff done. We got some of that movement. We got some of those camera angles working. Um, there's some patches I still need to do, but by and large, like it's just taking a little piece at a time, is how we're gonna make this thing work. Um, and that's the only way that you can really do anything. Um, I hope that you have been encouraged. Just me rattling on has not tired you out at all, um, and that you've been refreshed by our time together. Uh, so, uh, Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. I am Skip Marazi, your host and friend, um, for today. And again, thank you for checking us out. Check us out at coxinspace.com if you want to see more of what we're doing, and how we're doing. Dang it. Um, okay, this is gonna more or less line up right there. So yeah, check that out. Get some merch. Support us on the Patreon. Come join us on the Discord as we're doing these things. If you like and subscribe, and hit that notifications bell, we'll tell you when we're going live. And so you can come join us, come hang out. We'll talk about that. We can have these discussions in person, and we can talk about any of those things. Thank you again for joining me. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the rest of my day. I do need to get a workout in. I do need to play the guitar a little bit. But I'm going to do all those things, and then have some plans this afternoon and evening. So thank you for being here, and we will catch you soon.